ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿ.
A very pleasant good morning to all the students of First Language English. Now let's go to synecdoche. You know, sometimes we use a whole object to indicate a part of the object, or we mention a part of the object to indicate the whole object. You know, you're coming late to school and your teacher asks you why you're late. You know what you'll say? Ma'am, my cycle got punctured, ma'am. How can a cycle get punctured? The tires of the cycle get punctured. But do you say the tires of the cycle got punctured? You say the cycle got punctured. So you see, you are using a whole object, you are mentioning a whole object to indicate a part of the object. Look at that example there, the first one I've given. All eyes turned in his direction. You remember Karna's lesson, non-detailed lesson, you have the sentence. All eyes turned. Eyes are in a human body, only eyes will not turn. Alright? It means everybody looked in his direction. That is the meaning. But what do we say? We do not use the word everybody. We do not refer to a whole object. We refer to only a part of the object. You know, this newspaper, Kannada newspaper, Lankesh Patrike. Okay, in that, the man who runs that newspaper had written a poem regarding his mother, in which he talks about, he had written it in Kannada. Later on, it got translated to English. In that, he writes, my mother's limbs, you know what limbs are? Your two hands and your two legs. Okay, he says, my mother's limbs thrilled to children's kicks. You know, when you're inside your mother's womb, you keep kicking the mother, right? So here, he says, when the children were kicking in her womb, her limbs felt thrilled. It doesn't mean that only her hands and legs were feeling very excited and thrilled. It means her entire personality was feeling excited and thrilled. But what is the word he uses? Limbs. He uses a part of an object to indicate the whole object. Likewise, the other one, see, the whole for a part. Look at that. India won the test match against Australia. Imagine there is a T20 match going on and India and Australia, they are playing the match. And you somehow manage to, you know, steal in a small pocket radio or maybe your mobile or whatever, and you're sitting in the last bench, whereas your mathematics teacher is busy writing on the board, but you're sitting in the last bench wanting to hear the scores. And let us see, the match has come to an end and India has won the match. Now you ask the boy sitting next to you who's got that gadget in his hand, you ask him, what happened? What is the score? What is the result? Now you want to know whether the Indian cricket team has won the match or not. You expect him to say, India won. But if he is a boy who's very particular about the usage of the language, you know what he's going to say? Oh, you want to know the result? Wait, I'll tell you. The 11 members of the Indian cricket team have won the match against the 11 members of the Australian cricket team. Just imagine what your reaction would be if he takes such a long time just to explain that one sentence that India won. You'll feel like banging him, isn't it? So you see, when you say India won the test match, you refer to India as a whole, but you're indicating only a part of India, that is, you're referring to the cricket team of India. So synecdoche is a figure of speech in which we mention a whole to indicate a part, or we mention a part to indicate a whole. Next, alliteration. A figure of speech in which the first syllable of most of the words are the same. You know what a syllable is? A unit of sound. I have explained in the previous grammar class. Syllable is a unit of sound. Now, when we speak a sentence, the sentence will make complete sense, yet it sounds very attractive to the listener because of the repetition of the first syllable of most of the words in that sentence. Now look at this sentence. Round the rugged rock, the round ragamuffin ran. Okay? Round the rugged rock, the round ragamuffin ran. R, 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 R. The next one. The tired traveller turned towards the tavern. Ta, 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 ta. All these sentences make sense, yet they are very, very attractive to listen to. I am sure all of you have heard this alliteration about Betty. You know, very slowly if we say, it makes sense. Betty bought a pot of butter, but the butter was too bitter, so she bought another pot of better butter to make the bitter butter better butter. Now you say the same thing fast, it sounds very attractive, people start laughing. I will say it for you. Betty bought a pot of butter, but the butter was too bitter, so she bought another pot of better butter to make the bitter butter better butter. So you see how it sounds. So this kind of device that we use in order to attract a person's attention is called alliteration. Okay. Next one, the next topic that we are dealing with is agreement of the subject with the verb, a very important exercise in your textbook. Now you see, when we have a number referring to the subject of the sentence, subject of the sentence refers generally to the person. So the person has numbers, singular or plural, okay, the one who does the action. When the subject is singular, the verb will also be singular. Now you might ask, what is the structure of a singular verb? See that. A singular verb ends with S. See the example? He plays well. We don't say he play well. He is a singular subject, so we say he plays well. Whereas, if you take the plural form of he, that becomes they. They play well. So when we have a plural verb, it is only the base form of the verb. The basic form of the verb remains. Verb 0 we call it. Okay. Whereas singular verb ends with S. Now, there are certain exceptions to this rule as well. See, when two subjects are mentioned but are considered as one unit, then the verb is also singular. Look at that sentence. Bread and butter is his staple diet. Actually, bread is a separate object, butter is a separate object. But then we take them both together because bread and butter always goes one with another. So we say bread and butter is his staple diet, not are. Likewise, time and tide go together. So we say waits. We don't say wait. Time is different, tide is different, but they are always together. So we say time and tide waits for none. The next exception. There are some nouns which have a plural form but take a singular meaning. Now when you say news, we think it is plural. Okay? News, because N-E-W and then S is added, so we think it is plural. No, it is not. It looks plural, but it is singular in meaning. So we say the news has spread everywhere, not news have spread. We don't say that. Okay. Likewise, the couple, when you say couple, it refers to two people, but they are taken as one unit. That is why we say the couple is walking down the road. Now, the third exception, when two nouns of different numbers are mentioned, there will be two subjects mentioned in the sentence. One subject will be singular, the other subject will be plural. Then you get confused. If there is only one subject, you will know what verb should be used, whether it is a singular verb or plural verb, depending upon the number of the subject. But here, when you have two subjects and one of them is singular, the other is plural, then you get confused. You wonder how to write. Then you have this rule. See that? When two nouns of different numbers are mentioned, the number of the first noun is to be considered. Two nouns are mentioned, the first noun will be singular or plural, second noun will be singular or plural. You take the first noun into consideration. See that? The hens and the cock. Hens is the first noun, first subject. It is plural in number. So we take that first subject, hence we say are. Likewise, The teacher with her students is playing in the rain. See, teacher is a singular noun, students is a plural noun, but what do we take into consideration here? The first noun. Therefore, we say is playing in the rain. So, these are some of the exceptions to the rule. Next, we come to question tags. You know what question tags are? A part of a sentence. You know, sometimes instead of asking a question directly, starting with question words, when we speak, we may say a sentence and then we would want to convert it into a question. So, we follow that sentence with one or two words. Such words are called question tags. Now, when the question tags are used, certain rules are to be observed. When the sentence given is affirmative, question tag will be negative. Now, what do you mean by negative? There are certain words in English which are called words of negation. See the screen there? Words of negation are no, never, not, neither, nor. Okay. When these words occur in any sentence, that sentence is said to be a negative sentence. Now, when the sentence is affirmative, question tag will be negative. That means in the question tag there will be a word of negation. When the sentence is negative, question tag will be affirmative. That means in the sentence if there is a negative word, the question tag will be affirmative. Now, let us look at a few examples. Naveen is a rich boy. See, Naveen is a rich boy. It is an affirmative sentence. Isn't he? Isn't he? If you split, it will be is he not. The word not will come there. So, we say isn't he is a negative question tag. The same sentence, when you change it into negative, Naveen is not a rich boy. See the word not. So, it is negative. So, the question tag will be is he. So, the general rule, children, if the sentence is affirmative, question tag is negative. If the sentence is negative, question tag will be affirmative. Now, then back again we go to exceptions to the rule. There are certain sentences where the question tag is affirmative, the sentence given is also affirmative. Look at that sentence. Let's go for a walk. Shall we? Let's go for a walk is affirmative. Shall we is also affirmative. This is just for your knowledge. In the board examination, if you are asked an affirmative sentence is given, write the negative question tag. If a negative sentence is given, write the affirmative question tag. Next, we go on to conditional clauses, a very important question in the paper. Now, the word if refers to a condition. You lay a condition, then you have to use the word if. For example, if you don't do the homework, I will punish you. If you don't eat, I will not talk to you. So, you see, if is a condition. There are three kinds of conditional clauses. See, the word if refers to a condition in the subordinate clause followed by the expected occurrence in the main clause. Whatever is mentioned in the subordinate clause, following that, based on what is in the subordinate clause, the main clause will continue. See the example. If you practice well, you will top the class. In this first conditional clause, you find the simple present tense in the subordinate clause and will or won't in the main clause. Second conditional clause, in the example given here, you find the simple past tense in the subordinate clause, followed by would plus verb in the main clause. If he won the motor car race, he would buy a BMW car. He would buy, would plus verb. Third conditional clause, if she had heard the news earlier, she would have gone there sooner. Perfect tense in the subordinate clause followed by perfect tense in the main clause. In the board examination, see the kind of clause that is found in the subordinate clause. Whatever kind of conditional clause is found in the subordinate clause, based on that follow the structure and go in for the main clause. You have to write a main clause on your own depending upon the structure given here. Next, we go to tense forms of verbs. Now, you all know about present, past and future time zones. Okay? Now, these time zones, present, past and future, we can classify them into these categories that you find in the left column. The simple tense, the continuous tense, or we call it progressive tense, plus the perfect tense followed by the perfect continuous tense. You see the structure of the simple tense. In the simple tense, you will have verb 0, that means basic form of the verb, or verb es. For example, he teaches, teach plus es. Then you will have verb ed, played, talked, ed form of the verb. Then you find the verb s, okay, he writes well, write, W-R-I-T-E, followed by s. These are the structures you will find in the simple classification. Therefore, see, in the present tense it will be he plays, he played past tense, he will play future tense. In the continuous tense, you will find the be form, any one of the be forms, followed by the verb plus ing. Since it is present, is playing, past was playing, future will be playing. When you come to the perfect tense, you have these three words, have, has, had, followed by verb en. En is the perfect form of the verb, that is verb followed by en form. When we say form, we do not refer to the spelling, because look at this here, he has played, ed, it ends with ed, but because the word has comes before that, it is said to be in the en form. Supposing the word was speak, then you would have written he has spoken, then you will understand it as ven form, that is verb en form. See, so we write has played present tense, had played past tense, would have played future. Perfect continuous, first the perfect tense followed by verb plus ing. See that? Have, has, had plus verb plus ing. So, he has been playing, he had been playing, he would have been playing. These are the 12 ways in which we can write the tense forms of verbs. In your examination question paper, if you are asked to fill the blank with the correct tense forms, read the sentence, understand the structures given here, accordingly fill the blank. Next we go to different structures, how we change sentences from one structure to another. See, they can give you a sentence, as soon as, beginning with as soon as, change it to no sooner dash 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 than. See the structure how you change. As soon as the bird flew away, he started crying. No sooner did the bird fly away than he started crying. Now you see, when you say no sooner, it is followed by the word did. Did is the past tense. So, no sooner did the bird fly away, followed by the past tense, the first verb usually will be in the present tense. Some of us commit a mistake saying no sooner did the bird flew away. Wrong English. When you find did preceding the main verb, the next verb will always be in the present tense. The next example, the question will be to dash 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 to. Change it into so dash 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 that. Look at that sentence. The doctor is too sick to get up from bed. The doctor is so sick, he cannot get up from bed. Next, combine using neither nor, either or. That is the structure we are looking at now. They do not eat well, they do not play well. Combine using neither nor. So, we combine it using they neither eat well nor play well. There are bookstores, there are grocery stores, combine using either or. There are either bookstores or grocery stores. Now, when you write either or, neither nor, it should begin just before the option given. Now, what happens is, most of us commit a mistake here. The option can be given between the two subjects of a sentence, or the two verbs in a sentence, or the two objects in a sentence. What do? Most of us, we begin with either or, whether it is the object, subject or verb in which there is an option. If the option is between the subjects, just before the subjects begin, you should use the word either or, neither nor. For example, Arun does not obey his mother, Roshan does not obey his mother. Okay? So, here the option is between Arun and Roshan, not between obeying or the word mother. So, we have to begin with neither Arun nor Roshan. That is how we have to begin. Supposing the sentence is between two verbs. Let us say, Ankita does not write well, Ankita does not speak well. Now the option is between writing and speaking. So you don't say neither Ankita. If you say neither Ankita, then who else? So we begin with Ankita neither writes nor speaks. So just before the verb. Now we go to the object of the sentence. Supposing there is a sentence. I don't like apples. I don't like oranges. Now you can't say I neither like apples nor oranges. Wrong. I neither like nor dislike should be the answer. So you should write I like neither apples nor oranges. So that is why I have given the note there at the bottom. This either or, neither nor should begin just before the option given, otherwise you do not get the correct answers. Next we go to phrasal verbs. Now let us see what phrasal verbs are. Phrasal verbs are verbs followed by prepositions. Okay, they are called phrasal verbs. Verb followed by preposition. See the formula there, V plus P equals PV. Now, when you use phrasal verbs, there are two kinds of meanings, literal meaning and idiomatic meaning. What do you mean by literal meaning? You know the meaning of literacy, ability to read and write. So when you say literal meaning, it refers to the meaning that is given exactly as it is written, whereas idiomatic meaning refers to the meaning given other than the meaning that is written. For example, from the mountain top, the boy looked down upon the valley. See, that's a literal meaning. That means the boy is standing on the mountain top, from there he is looking down. So it becomes a literal meaning. Whereas, see the next one, the rich look down upon the poor. Phrasal verb is the same. But when you say the rich look down upon the poor, if you take it literally, does it mean the rich people are standing in some floor in the 5th or the 6th floor and the poor people are standing in the ground floor, they are looking down upon them? No. It means the rich people ill-treat, mistreat, they do not respect the poor. That is the meaning. So, idiomatic meaning is other than the meaning that is written. Now, idiomatic meaning changes according to the preposition that follows the verb. Look at that. I have given a few verbs followed by different prepositions just to make you understand how the meaning changes. See the word put. When it is followed by the word out, it means extinguish, put out, extinguish the fire, put out the fire. Put by, save. Why don't you put by some money in the bank? Put up with, to tolerate. I just can't put up with that fellow. People say that, which means tolerate. Put off. Hey, do you know the exams have been put off? Put off means postpone. I can't make out the handwriting of this man. Make out means understand. You've been absent for a long time. You have to make up for the loss, to compensate. Come on, there's very little money here in this. Somehow make do with what you have. That means adjust. So you see, all these verbs, there are plenty of examples I can keep on giving you like this. Due to paucity of time, we'll stop with this, but please understand that phrasal verbs have idiomatic meanings, and in the examination, if you're asked to fill in the blank, generally it will be an idiomatic meaning. So you have to be able to understand what a phrasal verb is and what is the idiomatic meaning of that phrasal verb. Next we go to modals. A modal verb is used to indicate probability, possibility, ability, permission, request, suggestion, order or obligation. Modal verbs accompany the base form of verbs. Some of the modal verbs are can, could, shall, should, may, might, ought and so on. Just before the main verb comes, these words can be found. So, they are called modal verbs. Now, see the examples. Can I go out? It talks about permission. When I was young, I could run very fast. Talks about ability in the past. Now, I can keep on giving you the answers, but I think I'll leave it to you to find the answers for the remaining 4 sentences. Just find out what is the function of the modal verbs given in the remaining 4 sentences. Next we go to affirmative and negative sentences. Negative sentences are those that have words of negation. I just now told you. Affirmative sentences are words that do not have words of negation. Now, when you are given an affirmative sentence, that is a sentence without a negative word, you'll have to change it into a negative sentence, but not change the meaning. See that? That's why given there at the bottom, meaning should not change. Now, look at that. The boys always remembered that day. What is the opposite of always? Never. What is the opposite of remember? Forgot. So, how do you change from affirmative to negative? You insert the relevant, the appropriate antonyms. You will get the correct answer. The boys never forgot that day. That means they always remembered that day. So, the first sentence has no word of negation, second sentence has a word of negation, but both mean the same. Likewise, another example, honey is not bitter. That means honey is sweet. So, what is the opposite of bitter? Sweet. So, not bitter means sweet. So, this is how you change a sentence from affirmative to negative. Next, we go to how do we change sentences that are in the assertive, imperative, interrogative and exclamatory forms to any other form. Now, look at that. How beautiful is the rose? Exclamatory sentence. Changing it into assertive, the answer will be the rose is beautiful. Then, I can never repay him for his kindness. That is an assertive sentence again. Changing it into interrogative, how can I ever repay him for his kindness? Next, we go to the vocabulary part of the textbook. You have a lot of antonyms as exercises, you have a lot of synonyms as well. Now, children, from the viewpoint of the board examination, please learn the words given in the glossary. At the back of the lesson, you find antonyms in exercises, synonyms in the glossary. Now, along with that, you will be learning about genders, collective nouns, parts of speech and so on. Give one word, homophones, rhyming words, all these which you will get in the analogy question. You remember, you have a question, find the relationship between the first pair of words and fill the blank in the other pair. For that question, all these vocabulary items you need to learn. Now, having told you to learn the antonyms and synonyms in the textbook, let us go on to the genders. You see, I have just given a very few of the genders which I think will be useful for you. Businessman, businesswoman, heir, heiress, host, hostess, wizard, witch, rooster, hen, buck, doe, drake, duck, fox, vixen, gander, goose, ram, ewe. These are the masculine and feminine genders. Now, there is no guarantee that any one of these words will be asked. I just took it at random. I thought some of these words may be useful for you. So, I have given these words. You can refer to different sources and learn many other words as well. Again, collective nouns. Now, there is no hard and fast rule that you can learn only so many. There are plenty given. I have just taken a few. A litter, a jury, a troop, a crew, a bunch, a choir, a swarm. You see, for puppies we say litter, for judges we say jury, dancers we say troop, sailors we say crew, crooks or roses we say bunch, even keys we say bunch of keys, right? And then singers we say choir, bees we say swarm. It goes on, the list is long. Next we go to parts of speech. In the analogy question, if you are given a particular word, supposing you are given an adjective and an adverb, in the other pair adverb will be given. The next one that you give should be the adjectival form only, because adjective and adverbs are given. You should also answer adjectives and adverbs. You cannot write adjectives and nouns. And if a noun is given, you have to write a noun. You can't write an adjective. See the example I have given. If the word given is kind, you can write cruel. But if it is kindness, you have to write cruelty. For kind, you cannot write cruelty. Likewise, for bravery. For brave, you will have to write cowardly. But for bravery, you have to write cowardice. You can't write a coward for brave. You can't write coward for bravery, because bravery is abstract noun. So, the answer should also be an abstract noun. So, remember, same part of speech should be given as the answer when you are questioned on nouns, verbs, adverbs and adjectives. Next, at the end of the lesson, that is fourth lesson, Louis Pasteur's lesson, you have an exercise on specialists, especially in the medical field. I have added a few more. Please learn what is there in your textbook. Your teachers would have already done it for you. I have given you a few more. A heart specialist called a cardiologist, cancer specialist, oncologist, hormone specialist, endocrinologist, hematologist is a blood specialist, an osteopath is a full body specialist, a nephrologist is a kidney specialist, and an obstetrician is a childbirth specialist. Add all these words also, because you see, as far as first language English is concerned, such questions, the question paper setter need not refer only to the textbook. From general English also questions can be asked. Next we go to homophones. These also can be asked in the analogy question. There are words which have different spellings, different meanings, but the same pronunciation. A few tricky ones I've given you here. See, air, H-E-I-R, H is silent. So, the homophone for that will be A-I-R. B-E-E-R, B-I-E-R. You know what B-I-E-R is? B-E-E-R, I am sure all of you know. B-I-E-R is the kind of a structure that is made to carry the dead body. So, that is also pronounced as beer. Fate, fate. Peaks, peaks. Plum, see the next one. Plum, the homophone P-L-U-M-B is given because B is silent. In one of your lessons, in the exercises, you have letters that are silent. You see, so we can say plum, plum, even though we write P-L-U-M-B. For a homophone, P-L-U-M, P-L-U-M-B, it matches. Okay. Likewise, rain and rain. A few more. Isle, isle, arms, arms, ball, ball, pause, pause, navel, navel, veil, veil, throne, throne, style, style, stayed, stayed, sought, sought. These are some of the tricky ones. They look as if they may not be homophones, but they are homophones. It's just for your reference to learn better. Next we go, same thing with rhyming words. Some of the words we think rhyme, they may not rhyme. But some words which we think do not rhyme will rhyme. See, all these words, they don't look as if they rhyme because the spellings are very different, except for the second word in the right column. You see that? Food and mood. Okay, can you see that? Food. It is not pronounced as food. It is pronounced as food. Hence, the rhyming word can be mood. See, all those words, all of them are rhyming words, though they appear as if they do not rhyme. Next we go to the composition part, composition and comprehension and letter writing. Okay. Now, let us first of all take letter writing. Imagine that you are Roshan or Roshni of Government High School, Mysore, and write a letter to your father requesting him to let you participate in a school excursion to Singapore, or write a letter to the editor, Times of India, complaining about the menace of street dogs in your locality. That means you will be given one formal letter, one informal letter. The choice is yours. Whichever one you write, it's up to you. Okay? And this letter writing carries 5 marks. Please do not omit writing this letter, children, because it carries 5 marks. This is one of the questions where you can score a lot of marks. See, the informal letter. We write the name of the letter writer as given in the question, Roshan from Government High School, Mysore, followed by the date, followed by the salutation. Now, in an informal letter, how do you begin the salutation? There are 2 ways. In an informal letter, either you address the letter to your friend or to your blood relatives, whoever it could be. When you refer to your blood relatives, you are supposed to write my dear father, my dear cousin, my dear brother, my dear uncle, my dear aunt, and so on. Whereas, if it is a friend, you will write dear followed by the name of the friend, not the word friend. You don't write dear friend. No. If your friend's name is Anil, you will write dear Anil, not my dear Anil. So, did you all understand? Only for blood relatives we write my dear father, my dear brother. For friends we write dear followed by the name of the friend. Now, after you finish the salutation, there is no subject in an informal letter. You begin with the informal greeting like how are you, I am fine here, and so on. 1 or 2 sentences. The next paragraph you state the purpose. You tell your father why you are writing the letter. You tell your father they have arranged a trip, an excursion in our school to go to Singapore. You are stating, and then the next paragraph you ask his permission. You tell him, I also want to go, please allow me to go. Make the necessary arrangements. And then the last paragraph you conclude with a sweet note saying, hope everybody at home are fine. I am also keeping fine here. Convey my regards to so and so and so. All that you can write, and finish it with thanking you, followed by yours lovingly or yours affectionately, with no apostrophe after the letter S in the word yours. And remember, thanking you, T should be capital. The next line, yours, Y should be capital, can be followed by the signature. Next we go to formal letter. In a formal letter, again you see the question given, Roshan is the name of the person, Government High School, Mysore. You write the date, and then when it comes to the to address, you see, You know how many of you commit mistakes in the to address? Let me tell you. The editor, Times of India, it should be. Okay. Now, I am sorry, here in the screen there is a mistake. Times of India should have come at the bottom. The editor, first line, Times of India should have been at the bottom. Anyway, the first line of the to address, there are many mistakes that students commit. The first one, please take into consideration. Make a note of this, children. Before the designation, you know designation is the post held by the person. Before the designation, the must be written. Definite article, the must be there. That's the first point. Secondly, it should begin with a capital letter. Third, when you write the designation, it should be the capital letter that begins the designation. Sometimes the person to whom you address the letter, the designation may be just one word or more than one word. However many words are there in the designation, every word should begin with a capital letter. See here, there is only one word, so we write editor with a capital E. Whereas, supposing you are writing a letter to the executive engineer, then both the words executive capital E, engineer capital E. So remember, the third point is you have to begin the designation with capital letters. Next point, in the designation sometimes you commit a mistake in the spellings. You are liable to lose marks for these mistakes, especially the word manager and the word principal. Some of you, instead of writing M-A-N-A-G-E-R, you write M-A-N-G-E-R. When you remove that A, you know what is the meaning of the word manger? Manger refers to the trough in which fodder is put for the cattle to eat. So, are you referring to the trough in which fodder is put for the cattle? Are you writing a letter to that trough? No. So, please be very careful with the spellings. Likewise, the word principal. Some of you write P-L-E at the end. It is wrong, you know that. Be careful when you write the spellings. The next mistake in the first line, I am telling you there are 5 mistakes children commit. The next mistake, followed by the designation, if there is a preposition in the question, you write the preposition there. That is wrong. You should not write, supposing the question says, write a letter to the principal of your school, you can't write to the principal of in the first line and the next line government high school. No, you can't write that. That is wrong. You are supposed to write to the principal, government high school. So, of should not be written there in the first line. So, what do you understand? The should be written. It should be in capital letter, it should begin with a capital letter. Designation, whether it is 1 or 2 words, should begin with capital letter. Spellings, it should be, those spellings should be correct, followed by the preposition which should not be there. Even if it is there in the question, it should not be there in the answer. Did you all understand, children? As far as the to address is concerned, these are the mistakes you commit. Please be careful. Next, when we go to the salutation, if it is the editor of a newspaper to whom you are writing, you never write the word respected, okay? Because this is a complaint letter, you only say dear sir. Postmaster, dear sir. Editor, dear sir. It's someone whom you don't know. It's just that he is in that post, he or she is in that post, and you address the letter to that particular person. So, you will write dear sir, or you can write dear madam, okay? Next, in the subject, the first word of the subject should not be the verb form as it is given in the question paper. The question paper, the question says complaining about. So, you know in the subject you write complaining about. Wrong. This is not an action, this is a letter. So, you have to write the noun form of the verb given in the question. Supposing the question says informing about, then you will write information about, complaining about, complaint about, requesting for, requisition for. So, this is how you turn the verb into a noun. That will be the first word of the subject. So, complaint regarding the menace of street dogs. This will be your subject. When you come to the body of the letter, the first point you will write, the first 2 sentences, see you mention your name and the tenure of your stay in that place. You can write I am so and so and I have been living in this place for such and such period of time, because you are talking about a problem that is faced by the people in that local area. Then the second paragraph, you mention the problem, you tell them. Now in this particular question, it's about the menace of street dogs. So you say, there are lots of street dogs in our locality, we've been suffering a lot because of these street dogs. In the next paragraph, you explain the way in which you are suffering because of those street dogs. See, describe the consequences of the problem. This will be the major part of the letter, probably 4 or 5 sentences. You prepare and you write these 5 sentences. At the end, the last paragraph, you request the authorities to do the needful at the earliest. Tell them, kindly do the needful at the earliest. And then, once again, as I told you in the informal letter, finish with thanking you, yours sincerely, and finish it with your signature. This is how you write the formal letter. Next we go to essay writing. Now let us look at the way in which an essay should be written. You see, the moment you choose a particular topic for an essay, try to choose a topic that has both positive and negative aspects. If you don't get such a topic, choose a topic that has negative aspects only. Okay, it's easier to write. You'll get more number of points to write. See, when you choose a topic, in the first 3 lines, I'm telling you how to write an essay in about 1 sheet. Okay, the first 3 lines, write the meaning of the given topic. After that, you come to the body of the essay. The body of the essay is divided into 3 paragraphs. See, I've given there A, B and C. What do you write in the first paragraph? If it is a topic with only negative points, you write the causes for that particular topic, why that phenomenon is occurring, causes, 5 sentences. If it is a topic with advantages and disadvantages, write the advantages first, 5 sentences. Second paragraph, come to the consequences. If you are writing about the causes, then you write about the consequences. If you are writing about advantages, you also write about the disadvantages of the topics. For example, air pollution. There is nothing advantageous about air pollution, it is only causes and consequences. Whereas if the topic is about watching TV, advantages and disadvantages. Likewise, so 5 sentences for advantages, 5 sentences for disadvantages. When you come to the third paragraph, if it is a topic on causes and consequences, write 5 sentences on remedial measures, how to get rid of that problem. If it is a topic on advantages and disadvantages, when you write about disadvantages, write 5 sentences about how to get rid of these particular problems that you are facing. Okay? So that will become the remedial measures. Finally, you come to conclusion. Okay? In the conclusion, you will write, if these remedial measures are implemented at the earliest, then this particular problem will cease to exist. It will not continue. You can write that. That can be a conclusion for any kind of essay that you write. Next we come to comprehension passage. Now for this comprehension passage, children, give yourselves at least 10 to 15 minutes of time to answer this one question. When you come to this, read the passage at least twice, understand the summary of the passage, pick out sentences that answer the question that is asked. Simply do not keep writing from the top to the bottom, or do not write 5 sentences in the place of 1 sentence. Read it. If you are not able to find the answer, read it again and again till you are able to pinpoint which particular sentence is the answer to the question asked. That is why I have written, do not write unnecessary sentences. Set aside at least 10 to 15 minutes to answer the questions in the comprehension passage. So this is how you will be able to answer your paper. Thank you very much, children. I hope all of you do well in your board exams.
Hello dear students.
Hello dear students.
I am Parveen Taj, a teacher in RV Girls High School,
And
Jayanagar, Bangalore.
And I am Mr. Shashi Burgess, St. Claret's School, Jalahalli.
Yes, today we are here to discuss the question paper design and also to solve a model question paper. Yeah, as you already know, the question paper is for 100 marks with totally 25 questions. MCQ and analogy together we ask for 10 marks. Very short answer 7 questions, short answer, that is 2 mark questions, there are 10 questions. Long answer 3 mark questions for 33 marks. Long answer 2 4 marks for 20 marks. Long answer 3 5 mark questions, 2 questions, totally 45 questions and 100 marks. Now, when we talk about the content, I want Varghese to tell about that.
Yes. For the prose, we have 30 marks. For the poetry, we have 30 marks and supplementary 7 marks. So, total of 67 marks.
Now, when we come to vocabulary, comprehension and composition, totally 33 marks. The question paper starts with 1 mark, that is MCQ 6 questions, analogy 4 questions, third main is rewrite as directed, again 1 mark. I have taken 6th main here because it is about grammar and vocabulary. So, totally 19 marks. Now, can you just explain them about the areas covered in grammar and vocabulary?
Yes. The grammar topics are question tag, parts of speech, verbs, prepositions, conjunctions.
Yes, these words, prepositions, articles and conjunctions usually appear in MCQ.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we have phrases and idioms, genders, numbers, collective nouns, and these gender, number, collective nouns usually appear in analogy.
That's right.
Then we have figure of speech.
The other areas are antonyms and synonyms, homophones, prefixes and suffixes. These also occur either in MCQ or in analogy. There may be a punctuation of a question for 1 mark, then verb forms, modals as language functions, clauses and types may be asked in the MCQ, and we have if clauses of condition and framing a question. There are questions rewrite as directed or MCQ, use of structures like using a sentence or combining a sentence with to and to, so that not, no sooner than, as soon as, not only but also, either or, neither nor, the sentence that begins with hardly, besides, seldom, both and. So, one or 2 or 3 may be taken from this group of use of structures. Now, coming to transformation of sentences, Varghese will tell it.
The transformation of sentences contains active to passive or vice versa.
That's right.
Degrees of comparison, 1 degree will be given. Suppose positive degree is given, then you will have to write the comparative degree and the superlative degree. Then we have simple, complex and compound.
How do they come? They come in the form of transformation of sentences. I think it's for 2 mark question.
One sentence will be given. If it is simple is given, they'll ask you to change it to complex or compound. So, any one will be given and you will have to write the other 2. So, it contains 2 marks. Then you have assertive to exclamatory or vice versa, negative to positive, assertive to interrogative, direct to reported speech or indirect speech.
So, those were the areas that were covered under grammar and vocabulary. Now, coming to textual questions. The textual question starts from 4th main. So, we have 4 1 mark questions which are called as very short answer. 3 questions from prose and 1 from poetry will be given. In the 5th main, 2 to 3 sentence questions, there will be 7. 2 from prose, 3 from poetry and 2 from supplementary. Now, coming to 7th main, long answer 1, 2 from prose, there will be a choice for 1 question from prose, 3 questions from poetry and 1 from supplementary reading. And 8th main is reference to context. If there are 3 from prose, then it will be 2 from poetry. If there are 2 from prose, then 3 from poetry. Now, coming to 9th main, it is quote from memory. As you all know that there are 3 poems and you can choose any 2 poems to memorize, and whichever poem you feel difficult you can just leave it out. So, poem 3 completely you have to learn, first 4 stanzas from Lochinvar and 5th poem Poison Tree. Generally Poison Tree will be there, compulsorily.
Poison Tree and Vachana is quite easy.
Yes,
so you can opt for those 2.
Yes.
And you can, if you want, you can leave Lochinvar.
Lochinvar, that's right. Now, the 10th main is 8 to 10 sentences question LA2. There are 2 questions from prose and there will be a choice for both questions, and poetry will not have a choice, there will be only 1 question, totally 67 marks. Now, comprehension and composition.
Yes, comprehension and composition. Comprehension will be for 4 marks. One
11th
passage
May.
will be given, you will have to read the passage and answer. So, there will be 2 questions, each contain 2 marks. Then you have the essay writing. Essay writing, 2 topics will be given, you have a choice. It carries 5 marks. Then you have the letter writing. Here also you will have a choice. You will have one official letter and one personal letter, and that also carries 5 marks.
Yes. So, this is about the question wise analyzation. Let us discuss model question paper 1 that was uploaded by KSEEB. We will try to solve that question paper. Now, the first main question, let me read out because many of the students do not read that question at all. 4 alternatives are given for the following questions. Choose the correct answer and write it along with its alphabet. So, the last sentence is very important, dear students. Many a times either you write the option or you write the answer, which is very wrong, dear children. Keep in mind, when you are answering a multiple choice question, writing the option and the answer both are very important. Marks will not be allotted if you leave out any one. Will you read the first question?
Yes, all eyes turned in that direction. All eyes turned in that direction. The figure of speech used in the line is personification, metaphor, synecdoche, alliteration.
Yes, now there is a clue here in this question. All eyes, eyes are representing the whole here. So, what's the answer? Yes, you are right. It is synecdoche. Synecdoche, in synecdoche, either the whole represents a part or a part represents the whole. Let's move on to the next question. Dash with your work. You need not stand, said the visiting minister to his staff. The correct phrase to be filled in the blank is carry away, carry out, carry on, carry off. So, what should they do? They should carry on with their work. The next question, please.
He was suspected dash having stolen the book. The preposition to be filled in the blank is to, for, of, with. He was suspected dash having. So, it is answer is for having stolen the book.
Yes. The fourth question, that's the right answer. The question tag to be added is. So, when we read that sentence, that's will give us the clue here. That's is the short form of that is. So, is used there and the sentence is positive, and it is obvious that the question tag is isn't it. Fifth question.
The word in which miss is a part of a word but not a prefix. Now, misjudge, mistake, misdeed, miscalculate. If you have noticed, for
the other 3 options, 3 options has got miss as a prefix. As an opposite prefix, whereas one word that is mistake is the whole word. It's a complete word and miss is a part of the word.
Like judge, the opposite is misjudge.
Yes. Now, coming back to the last question in MCQ, I have been trying to learn to play the guitar for so many years, but I dash yet. So, yet is the clue here and has been is another clue. Perfect tense is used here, and yet tells us that we have to use the present perfect tense, and the answer is have not succeeded, but I have not succeeded yet. Now, the next question is yours.
Observe the relationship in the first pair of words and complete the second pair accordingly in the following.
Yes.
So, we have to understand what is the relationship in the first pair.
Yes.
And in the same way, we have to apply that for the second
we have to apply the rule that is taken into consideration in the first pair. Yeah.
So, the first one, develop, development. Develop is a verb and development is a noun. So, prefer is a verb. So, what is the noun of prefer? It is preference.
Preference. Yes. The next question, tail, tail. So we know it is homophone. Antic. Now you have to find out what is the other homophone of antic. We have to spell it out. Yes, you are right, and it is antique. ANTIQUE. That's the homophone of antic. The next question,
Violent, non-violent. So now you have understood what is it. Violent, the opposite is non-violent. So what is the opposite of modest? It has to be
it has to
Yes.
be
immodest.
immodest. Yes, one thing we have to remember here to form the opposite, prefix is used here, violent, non-violent. So we have to be, the children sometimes they give a different opposite. For example, for modest they can give proud also, but
yes.
here in this context proud will be a wrong answer, because the relationship given here to form the antonym is a prefix. So our answer should be in prefix only, and the answer is immodest only.
Yes.
Proud will be a wrong answer. Yeah.
Next one,
Yeah.
scraped, removed. Bewilder. So now we have no scraped, the other meaning is removed.
Yes.
So it's a synonym.
Yes.
So bewilder, you have to use another synonym. You can use perplex,
Or
confuse.
confuse. Yeah. So now coming back to the third main question, rewrite as directed. Again on grammar and vocabulary. The first question given here, see so many items we have read out. So any item may be chosen to frame the grammar and vocabulary questions. It is not that every time they will get a question on voice. Voice can go in MCQ also.
Yes.
Or it may be left out also. So out of those grammar items, any item may be chosen to frame the questions. Here it's change the voice. See here in first language English, the question is given as change the voice, not the passive voice. So either the question may be on passive voice and you will have to answer in active voice, or it may be vice versa.
Yeah.
Here,
Right.
let us read the question here. The teacher is calling the roll number. So, of course, it's an active voice.
The
and
teacher
we
is the
have
subject.
Yes,
So,
the
yeah.
teacher is subject, and we have underlined the word calling as a clue to answer. So, when the main verb is in the continuous tense, we introduce the word being in the passive voice, and the answer goes like this: the roll numbers are being called by the teacher.
Yeah. Next we have frame a question to get the underlined words as answer. Frame a question to get the underlined words as answer. He confessed his crime in the court. So the underlined word is in the court. So where did he confess? So in the court means it's a place. So whenever there is
Place.
a place, you should start the question with where.
Where? That's right.
Where did he confess?
Yeah. The next question, combine the sentences using to and to. There are two sentences given here. It is very cold. We can't go out. So one positive and one negative sentence is there. Whenever we are using T over to and to, it is a positive sentence. See, we have underlined very. Very means to. Can't takes the infinitive, to infinitive. So it is too cold to go out. Now we come to the fourth main question, where we start with the textual questions. There are 4 questions, and we have already told that 3 will be from prose. Yes.
Yes. So this carries 1 mark. 4 questions are there and it carries 1 mark each. So the first question, what does a writer compare water in a landscape to?
We have underlined the point.
Points. Yeah.
To
And-
human eyes.
Yeah.
That should be
it's
written
taken
here.
from the elixir of life.
Yes.
And the writer compares water in a landscape to human eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing why we have to remember that the children should write the answer in a complete sentence.
Yeah.
We have underlined the point. They can, why we have underlined point is they can keep a pencil in their hand and underline the point. That attracts the evaluator.
Yes, yeah.
As soon as the evaluator sees the point, they will get the marks.
If you're very
But-
sure of the answer,
Yes.
underline
Yes.
the main points.
Yes, but they have to write the answer in full sentence.
sentence, yes.
And one more thing I would like to remind the students here. See, fourth main 14th question. This is very important. Whenever they are writing an answer, they have to write the main question which is given in the question paper and the sub question which is there in the question paper.
Yes.
They cannot say fourth main, first question,
one, yeah.
second question, they cannot say. They have to copy
Mention
the
the
question
same
number,
question number.
from the question paper. That's
Yes.
very, very important, children. Whenever you are writing your tests or examination, you have to practice writing, giving the same number from your question paper. That I just could remember that I just
Yeah,
told
that's
that.
very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now 15th question. Who are the two teams of the village cricket match? Very interesting lesson. So we know that the two teams were from England and men from Scotland. They all of them belong to a village. They were the resident of the village Fordendam.
How does the writer take a dig at the government official?
This question is from
Yeah, this is also from the same
lesson. Okay.
the village cricket match.
Yeah.
Now here, the writer mocks at the government officials. He says that the government official never do anything. They don't want to take any risk.
Risk. They
Yeah.
don't. So they don't involve in
They
any
don't
risky job.
task.
Now the next question is on poem. So three
Yes.
questions prose over, and the fourth question is from poem. What made Lochinvar to write Netherby Hall? I think the students know the answer. They very much know the answer, isn't it? Because the girl who loved Lochinvar was getting married to someone else, and he wanted to get her for himself. Now we come back to the next main question, fifth main. Answer the following questions in 2 to 3 sentences. There are 7 questions and 2 marks, and the question number is 18. Describe the horror that Anne Frank witnessed one day in her concentration camp. Many students love this lesson very much
Yes.
because it is a lesson about a girl of their own age, a very special girl indeed. One day Anne Frank saw hundreds of Hungarian Jewish children standing naked in freezing rain. Very touchy lesson, very disturbing lesson when we read some of the points from this lesson. So she saw children standing naked in freezing rain, waiting to be led to the gas chambers, and was horrified, unable to understand why such horrors were inflicted upon them.
Yes.
The
Now
next
one more
one.
thing, we can say 2 marks. I think they can write 2 points.
2
isn't
points,
it? Huh.
yeah, 2 points or 3 points.
Two,
See, sometimes you know you just cannot wind up the answer in 2
Just 2
points.
points.
So
So
there
2 to
they
3
can write
points
2
they
to
can
3
have.
points. Yeah. The next question.
How does a writer interpret the meaning of the catchy phrase "shop till you drop" in the last paragraph of this essay?
Yes.
Yeah,
See,
it is
this
from
phrase,
consumerist culture.
consumerist culture, and this phrase the author has used this phrase in the first paragraph also and the last paragraph, and he interprets this phrase in different forms. In the first paragraph he interprets in a different manner, and in the last paragraph he becomes very philosophical.
Yes.
And he says that one should not keep acquiring things merely for the sake of acquiring. People should know when to put a full stop and say enough to the material world.
Yes.
That is materialism. Very philosophical sentence. We need to learn from this sentence.
What did Jim and his mother take from Billy's chest before they fled the inn? This is from Treasure Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
Supplementary
Yeah.
one.
Yes. So Jim's mother, what did Jim's mother and Jim take? So it's very simple.
Yes.
Jim's mother, she took as much coins as it was necessary to cover the rent. And Jim, he took a bundle of paper which was wrapped in oilcloth.
Yes. Yes, next is, why did Ulysses and his party land on the strange looking island? We know that they landed to that island to explore, to see what sort of people dwelt there, whether they were hospitable and friendly to strangers or otherwise. The next question.
What 2 ways of handling anger are mentioned in the poem Poison Tree? Very simple.
Yeah.
In this poem, we can
Points.
see that the poet is handling 2 situations.
Yes.
In the first situation, he is angry with his friend, and he tells the anger, and the anger gets subsided. But in the second situation, he is angry with his enemy. He
And
does not
doesn't
tell
express it.
And you know, when you
Don't
bottle up
express, yeah.
anger, it grows and
Grows,
leaps and bounds, which destroyed his enemy in the end.
Now, how is autumn season characterized in Sonnet 73? Okay, so here very beautifully the poet describes the autumn season. He says that the trees shed leaves and the few remaining ones also have yellowed and dried. The days are breezy and windy, the birds have migrated to warmer places, and the leafless and the bare trees also look further bare without the birds roosting on them. 24th question. I press for this sad recompense, says Drona. If it was a sad recompense, why did he demand it? The answer is, Drona wanted to keep up his promise that there would be none better than Arjuna in the archery in the world. So, he demanded the right hand thumb of Bhattu, which would have made Bhattu unable to practice his archery, and naturally Arjuna would be the best archer in the world. The next main question is rewrite as directed for 2 marks.
2 marks.
Yeah.
So, give the other 2 degrees of comparison. See, the question is, Delhi is one of the biggest cities in India. One of the biggest cities, that means there are other cities also. So, when you see in a sentence one of the biggest,
Yeah.
immediately start the positive degree with very few.
Yeah.
Very few cities in India are as big as Delhi. And when you start the positive degree with very few, remember that in comparative degree it will be bigger than most other. So you have to
Yes.
remember the keywords, very few in positive degree,
Right.
and most other in the comparative degree.
degree. Yeah. Now the next is change into reported speech. Very easy. We have underlined the words that needs to be changed. He said to me, I do not work on Sundays. So said becomes told. Since we are removing the inverted commas, we are introducing the conjunction that. I becomes he, do becomes did in the past tense. So he told me that he did not work on Sundays. The next one.
Change the sentence into compound and a complex sentence. He was given a medal for saving the life of a girl. See, in this sentence there is no conjunction. So a sentence which has no conjunction is a simple sentence.
Yeah.
Now you have to change it into complex sentence. So complex sentence should start with a subordinating conjunction or
Yeah.
a subordinating clause.
Yeah.
So here it starts with
Either
as
or
or since,
since.
both
Yeah.
they can use.
Yeah.
As he saved the life of a girl, he was given a medal, or since he saved the life of a girl, he was given a medal.
That's right.
Yeah. Now the compound sentence. He saved the life of a girl, so he was given a medal, or therefore he was given a medal. So
yes.
compound sentences will always have coordinating conjunctions.
To join 2 or 3 sentences. Yeah. Now coming to 6th main, answer the following questions in 5 to 6 sentences each. So there are 6 questions and 18 marks. Question number is 28. Here, explain the details about the girl as imagined by the narrator in the train. So I have underlined the points for you. See, we cannot read out all the answers. We will just read out the points for you. The girl wore slippers. He imagined that the girl wore slippers from the way they slapped against her heels. He liked the sound of her slippers. He liked the sound of her voice and felt that her voice had the sparkle of a mountain stream. He remarked that she had an interesting face. He felt that the perfume from her hair was tantalizing and it lingered in the place where she stood in the compartment before getting down from the train. I hope, children, you are sitting with the pen and the pencil and you are making some notes. Concentrate on the points that we have underlined. Yes, the next question.
Describe the incident that made Parsurama realize that Karna was not a Brahmana. You know the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is very clear that one day when Parsurama was
Sleeping on the lap of
Karna, a worm burrowed in Karna's thighs, causing him a lot of pain. But he did not move because he did not want to disturb his guru. But when Parsurama woke up, he saw him bleeding profusely. He realized that only a Kshatriya can
bear
so much of pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Now Basavanna expresses his devotion to Lord Shiva. You know that it's a beautiful, simple, short poem from which they may get a question also, or it is for memorization also. So just memorizing the poem also will help them to write the answer. So here the Basavanna prays to Lord Shiva, the Kudala Sangama Deva, and laments that the rich are able to build temples for the Lord, while he, a poor man, is unable to do so. So he offers his whole body as the temple, and he says that his legs are pillars, his body is the shrine, and his head is the cupola of gold, and he asks the god to reside in his body temple, and he says that stationary things are perishable, and the soul only reaches the god.
Describe the scene as the poet began rowing the boat. This is taken from the Stolen Boat.
Yeah.
So this also you can, the
Points we
points
have
are
written,
mentioned
yeah.
here. Yeah.
So
So
they
as the
can-
poet was rowing,
Yeah.
he heard the mountains echo.
Echo.
Yeah. He left the boat.
The boat was leaving
left
the circles. Yeah.
glittering in the moon.
Yes.
And he saw nothing but the stars and the grey sky. He fixed his view upon the craggy ridge that was the horizon's utmost boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he compares the boat,
Boat
to an elfin pinnace, and
Which was moving like a swan.
Yeah, there is the use of similes there.
Yes.
Yeah.
The horizon was bound with a huge peak which loomed black and huge. This starts disturbing him actually. He feels as if it seemed to uprear its head and grow in stature with every stroke of the oar that the poet struck into water. He felt as if it is towering up between him and the stars. So now the next question is, how has John Masefield expressed his guilt as well as his gratitude towards his mother? So this is the 10th poem where the poet is paying his gratitude to his mother as well as showing his guilt for not able to do anything for her because she died when he was very small child. He talks about the gender inequality also, and he feels guilty that being a man he is not able to do anything in the society to wipe out this gender inequality.
So he not only talks about his mother, but women in general.
Yeah. So the next question, describe how the 70th birthday of Louis Pasteur was celebrated?
Yeah. On Louis Pasteur's 70th birthday, the celebration was just like a national festival, and he was honored in his old age. Now there was a meeting, a crowd meeting in the Great Hall of the University of Paris,
and all the scientists of all the nations had gathered there.
And since he was unable to speak, his speech was read out to the audience by his son. In the speech he addressed to the young, reminding of their duties as students and citizens, and finally as a human being for the welfare of humankind.
So there is a choice for this question.
Okay.
The choice is, describe how the girl of silent torrent scanned the painted pot at home secretly. So when the idle man completed painting the picture and gave it to the girl, what did she do? She silently took it to her house, and at home she held it in the light with inquisitive eyes and scanned the painting thoroughly. Again at night, she got out of the bed. She was so much overtaken by the beautiful painting. She lit a lamp and observed it again in silence. She turned the picture round and scanned it again. For the first time in her life, she spent her time in observing or doing something that had no meaning and no purpose. Yes.
Next we have explain with reference to the context. 5 questions, 3 marks each. Now the first one, we have our hands full. We have our hands full. From which lesson? I am sure you will be knowing it. Yeah. We have our hands full is from the first lesson. That is, so children, you will have to first write from where this extract is taken.
That's right.
Yeah. You have to say this extract is taken from so and so lesson written by whoever the author or the poet is. Then you will have to write on which context it is spoken.
Yes. See, the main question itself is self-explanatory. When we say explain with reference, when we say reference, they have to refer from which lesson it is taken, who is the author or the poet, and it is told by who to whom. That is reference. And they have to explain the situation, in what situation the sentence is told, and that is context. So, the question is self-explanatory and the answer should be written in a paragraph. I would like to tell you, remind you again and again that in languages, in all the languages, the answers should be written in paragraph.
And not
points
in points,
are
yeah.
not, yes, points
Maybe
may be
in
written in the core subjects, but in languages, the answer should be in paragraph only. So, can you just read out the answer? We will read out one answer for
Yeah.
them.
The extract is taken from the lesson A Wrong Man in Workers' Paradise, authored by Rabindranath Tagore. The statement was whispered by women in the workers' paradise, in the heaven. Here people spend all their time doing only useful work without having a moment of leisure. They enjoyed hard work, though they overtly commented that they are busy and have no time to spare.
Yeah. So, the next one is, shall I put the chops on? See, we have underlined what lesson? Gift of Magi, written by O. Henry, told by Della to Jim. We know that she told it, she had cut her hair and sold it to buy a gift for Jim. So, she is trying to convince him by telling him that her hair will grow again, and then to just to change the topic, she puts that question, shall I put the chops on? Yeah, the next one.
I have too much to do to run errands. This is taken from The Pie and the Tart, and it is said by Marion to her husband. So, this is on what context? When actually when Gaultier was invited by the mayor to for dinner, he wanted to take the eel pie, but he was feeling too conscious to carry the eel pie in the street. So, he asked Marion if she could bring it for him, but Marion immediately refused and said that she had lot of other work to do.
Yeah. The next one. She flew crying as he was picked up, hands and jaws. Yeah, we know that it is taken from To a Pair of Saras Crane, composed by Manmohan Singh. We know it's a very touchy poem where the female Saras Crane is crying and showing her miseries or the sorrow for her mate, which was carried very brutally by the killers. So, the answer goes like this: when the female Saras Crane saw that her mate was shot down by the bird killers, she flew about crying. She cried bitterly when his body was stuffed into a bag and carried away. She went on circling the sky in deep sorrow over his disgraceful end. The next question. If I could put a notion in his head. Yes, this is taken from Mending Wall, composed by Robert Frost, and we very much know that here the narrator is trying to convince his neighbor that they don't need a wall between them with these words. He says that the neighbor has only pine trees while he has only apple orchard, and he says that neither his apple or tree nor his pine trees are likely to encroach. So, why
to have a wall?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. The next one is quote from memory.
The easiest one.
The easiest one and very easy to get the marks. All the 4 marks if you just learn the 4 lines.
Yes.
So, now here, as we have said in the beginning itself, you have totally 3 poems to memorize. Vachana, Poisonry and Lochinvar.
Yeah.
Vachana and Poisonry, very simple. I am sure everybody would have
learned it by heart. Yeah.
So, if you cannot, you can always leave out Lochinvar.
Yes.
In this paper we have seen they have asked 4 lines from Lochinvar and the remaining 4 lines from Poisonry.
4 lines from second stanza of Lochinvar and 4 lines from the third stanza of Poisonry. Yeah, now coming back to the 9th main, which is for 4 mark. There are 3 questions, 2 from prose, which will have choice for each one of them, and 1 from poetry.
That doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, easy, so there is no choice. So, what does Abraham Lincoln want his son to know about the people around him? How should he respond to them? So, there are many values. You can choose any 10 and you can write down.
In a way, they can just summarize the whole poem.
Yeah, they summarize the whole poem. Yeah. So the next question is, describe the observation made by Sir C.V. Raman standing near the valley of Nile. What explanation was given by the geologist about the Nile valley which Sir C.V. Raman has described? So standing on the
First
line.
part, they have to just tell the difference between the Libyan desert and the valley of river Nile.
Yes. And in the second part, they have to speak about what the geologists have told about how Nile valley is created. They say that the Nile valley is created by the river itself, which was brought down as the finest silt in its flood waters from the highlands of Abyssinia and from remote central Africa and laid down in the valley. Yes, the choice for this question is from
the village cricket
match, where they have to explain the scene where these 2-3 batsmen dash with each other. So the blacksmith hits the ball very high and it gets almost lost, and without looking at the ball they start running. He forgets that his ankle is wounded. He starts running. He calls his substitute Baker also, and from the other side Joe also starts running. All the three of them will run and dash with each other, and they fall down with a crash.
Collide and fall. Yeah.
The 42nd question.
What illustrations does Gandhiji give to justify that all good actions need not be moral acts? So this also, if you remember the points, you can do it.
Yeah.
The first point says all moral actions should spring out from your own will.
Yes.
It should not be a mechanical act.
Yes.
Then it also says that it should be done with a good intention. They have given the example of the person who feeds the poor.
Yeah.
It should be done with a good intention.
Yes. Depends upon the doer of the intention of the doer.
And it should be done without any compulsion.
Yes, it should come from within, with no self-interest behind the action. And the last one is, that action is moral which is done only for the sake of doing good. Yeah, the choice for this is from Anne Frank's Dairy. What role does the dairy play in Anne Frank's life? See, the dairy plays a very important role in her life. It acts like a friend. She literally puts everything, all her emotions in her dairy. So in the beginning,
as a young girl, I think she could not say so many things. She could not share it with her mother or father. So all her confidential secrets and all, she had puts it in her
diary. And lovingly she calls her dairy as Kitty, indicating that she considered it as a close friend. She occasionally even writes to Kitty as if the dairy were a person who had asked her question. Moreover, Anne's constant dairy writing enables her to discover her inner voice and her voice as a writer. The dairy gives her a private place to explore and develop her increasingly profound thoughts and ideas. Now the next question is 9th main, which is, I feel, is the easiest one again after memorization. Here a comprehension passage is given to them. We generally see that as soon as they see the passage, they jump to read the question, and they start marking. Start searching the answer in the paragraph. Sometimes the same point is repeated 2 to 3 times in the passage, and they will select the wrong point. So that's very wrong. We would like to tell you, children, that you have to read the comprehension passage. We have given it for you to enjoy a small paragraph or a story or something, a very interesting passage we give you. You have to read the passage at least twice. That is what I would like to suggest you. You can see it as an experiment.
First time they can read to understand what it is. It can be a story, it can be essay, it can be an article, it can be anything. So first they can read it just to understand. Then second time they can see the question and read it.
So they can take it as let them take it as an experiment and solve a model paper. After reading the passage twice, if they read the question, automatically they will go to that point where the answer exists. So their work gets reduced and the answer also will be Perfect.
Yeah.
So children, remember, you have to read the paragraph at least twice. Time is allotted for you for that. Understand? So you will have time. You need not just panic that you will fall short of time. Please read the passage twice, then read the question, and then answer the question. So there are two questions here. It's a very interesting passage on humor. What is the role of humor in our life? So how does humor help in a society? One who has humor can sail through any conflict. See, if you have a humorous nature, you will win the heart of people just through your talks. So humor is a buffer that saves us from humiliation. Humor brings everyone together while humiliation tears them apart. In a society torn with humiliation and insult, humor is like a breath of fresh air. Humor should be coupled with care and concern. Humor can keep the spirit high. So this is very important. That's why I just
Yes.
felt like reading it. How can sense of humor be developed? Humor can be cultivated by taking life not too seriously and having a sense of belonging with everybody. We should accept everyone, isn't it? Including those who are not friendly. Practicing yoga and meditation, having unshakable faith in the divine and in the laws of karma. Whatever I sow, so shall I reap. So I should believe in the karma. Yes. The next one.
Next we have
10th
write,
main.
the 10th main, the 44th question. Write an essay of about 18 to 20 sentences on any one of the given topics. So two topics will be given and you will have to choose any one.
Any one of their choice.
Yeah, and it contains 5 marks.
Yes.
Yeah.
While writing essay, we have to keep in mind that the essay should have a short introduction. You need not write introduction, detail and some you need not give the subheadings there, but any topic you start with. For example, if there is a topic on pollution, you can just what is pollution, how many types of pollution, then concentrate on what type of pollution is asked for you. Here the question is gender discrimination, a challenge to the social justice. So gender discrimination, what do you mean by gender discrimination? How many types of gender discriminations are there? They read in their social science, sociology,
Okay,
they read. So then you can start talking what are the disadvantages of social discrimination, and to sum up the topic they can give their opinion how to wipe out gender discrimination and bring social justice. Like this they have to move on.
And some of the topics I think very common topics we have
Yes, yes.
listed here. You can get prepared with all these topics. Like for mass media, you can get any essay on write about computers, internet, newspaper, cell phone, and about social problems like corruption, child labor, population explosion, globalization, women empowerment, etc. And something with environment like Swachh Bharat, pollution, causes and prevention, importance of forest, ban on plastic, etc. Sometimes they can also ask you biographies like Abdul Kalam, Mother Teresa, etc.
Some 2-3 years back they had asked about Abdul Kalam and Mother Teresa.
Okay.
That's why we have put it in our PowerPoint. Yeah, the last question.
Yeah, the last question is about a letter. You will be given a choice. You have a letter, it can be an official letter and a choice with an official letter and a personal letter.
And it's very important for them to read the
Questions,
because the question contains from address and to address. Now imagine you are Soumya or Sunil studying in government high school, Peenya, Bangalore. This is the from address. They are not supposed to write any address they want. They have to write this. So the information is available in the question paper itself. So they have to see that they are writing that only as from address. Write a letter to your father requesting him to send you. Now to whom the letter has to be written is father. So write the letter to father in the form of, it's a personal letter. Now let's see the official letter. Now from this year onwards, both letters will have different from address.
Okay.
Yeah. Last year in the previous question papers, there was only one imagination. Here for 2 letters, you have to imagine as 2 people. Now if they are taking official letter, imagine you are Anthrose or Ambrose, a resident of Gayatri Nagar, Bangalore. Write a
Yeah.
letter to sub-inspector of police station of your locality. So the two
here
addresses
we have
also
got both.
given.
From and to, both are there
Both
already,
are
yeah.
there. So okay, here is a format for you. When you are writing a personal letter, you are going to write a sender's address, a short sender's address. You need not write your name here. Since we are writing to our friend or a relative, we need not write our name. So a short sender's address, maybe you can write name of a place and the date. Salutation means how you are addressing the person. Then you will write the information which you are asked to write. Subscription.
Personal letter, I think always let them take the salutation as dear only.
Yes, dear only, followed by the name or the name of the relationship. Yeah, then they will write body of the letter. Subscription, they can write yours lovingly or affectionately, and in superscription they have to write the name. Which name?
Which is in the
given
question.
in the from address, which is given in the question. Then you will write the receiver's name and address. That's you have to imagine in case of personal letter.
Yeah.
In case of official letter, they have to let the letter be on the left.
Yeah, both the letters,
yes,
personal,
left
yeah.
alignment itself. Full from address they have to write in case of formal letter.
But do
followed
they
by
have
date.
to write the word from? From is not required.
Not necessary. Give a space, double space, then write the date,
Date.
give again a space, and then write the receiver's address, which is already given there in the question. Then salutation, you can just say, if you are writing to a stranger, you can say sir or madam, and if you are writing it to your teachers or people in the school or somebody respected, then subject they have to write the reason of writing letter. If it's a leave letter, they will write leave letter.
Formal letter always you have to write the subject.
If it's a complaint letter, they can say complaint letter, then body of the letter, and in subscription, yours sincerely, followed by superscription, again the name which is given in the question paper. God bless you and thank you.
ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾ